My brother didn't cry when our dad died. He didn't cry when our mom died either. But the moment he found out there was no $500,000 waiting for him, that's when he completely lost it. And the worst part? He had already spent money he didn't even have because he thought our mom was his final jackpot. If you've ever dealt with someone who only shows up when they need something, especially family, then this story is going to hit hard. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and stick around, because this isn't just a revenge story. This is what happens when entitlement meets reality. I grew up in a household where being a boy meant everything, and being a girl meant almost nothing. My brother, let's call him EB for entitled brother, was treated like royalty from the day he was born. Everything revolved around him. Better food, more attention, more freedom. While I was expected to be quiet, obedient, and invisible, he was celebrated just for existing. And the worst part? He knew it. You could see it in the way he walked, the way he spoke to people, the way he looked at me like I was beneath him. Our parents didn't just raise him, they created him. They paid for everything. His college tuition, covered. Housing, covered. Books, meals, spending money, covered. He didn't have to work a single day, and instead of being grateful, he turned them into his personal bank. He only called when he needed money, never to check in, never to ask how they were doing, just, hey, I need cash. And at first, they gave it to him, again and again and again, until slowly, painfully, they started to realize what they had done. They didn't raise a son. They raised someone who saw them as resources. Things started getting worse during his final years in college. That's when he met his wife. And let me tell you, that relationship was a disaster from the start. She was already 5 months pregnant with someone else's child. Most people would think twice. Not EB. He saw an opportunity to play the hero, to gain sympathy, to manipulate. He told our parents he was going to drop out of school to step up and raise the child. But my dad? For once, he stood firm. He told him, if you quit, you're paying back every dollar I spent on your education. That was the first time EB didn't get his way. So he did what people like him always do when they lose control. He threw a tantrum and walked away. Got a low-paying job, struggled financially, but still acted like the victim. He eventually finished his degree, but gave up a solid career opportunity just to stay in that unstable situation. And somehow, everything was still everyone else's fault. Then came the moment that changed everything. My dad was diagnosed with stomach cancer. 3 months. That's what the doctors gave him. 3 months to live. And you'd think that would be enough to bring a family together. But not EB. He didn't visit to spend time with him. He didn't ask how he was doing. He didn't sit by his bedside. No, he only showed up when he needed money. And every time he walked through that door, there was this heavy silence, like everyone knew why he was really there. And most of the time, he left empty-handed. No goodbye, no I love you, nothing. Just frustration because his ATM wasn't working anymore. Then my dad passed away, and I remember the room, the stillness, the weight of it all. I could barely breathe. But do you know the first thing my brother said to my mom? Did he have a life insurance policy? Not, are you okay? Not, I'm sorry. Just, how much money did he leave behind? That was the moment something inside her broke. And from that moment on, he wasn't her son anymore. 2 weeks after the funeral, I walked into the house and saw my mom sitting with one of my dad's old friends, an insurance broker. I didn't think much of it at first, until she told me, I applied for a $500,000 life insurance policy. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was impossible. Her health was terrible. Diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. There was no way she would qualify. I told her that, and she just smiled, that kind of quiet, knowing smile. And then she said something I'll never forget. Just make sure your brother knows when the time is right. I didn't understand it then, but I would, very soon. 4 weeks later, she was gone. Heart attack, stroke, just like that. 6 weeks, that's all it took for me to lose both of my parents. I don't remember much from that day. Everything felt distant, like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. But I do remember one thing. On the drive home from the hospital, my brother turned to me and asked, "Did Mom have any money in her purse? My kid needs food." I felt something snap inside me. Not anger, not sadness, something colder. I reached into her purse, pulled out a $20 bill, and threw it at him. Didn't say a word, just threw it. And then he asked the question, the one he had been waiting to ask. Did she have a life insurance policy? And suddenly, it all made sense. Her words, her smile, her plan. So I said, yeah, she applied for one. And his entire demeanor changed. You could hear the greed in his voice. How much? $500,000. And for the rest of that drive, it was silent. But I swear I could hear it. That sound. Cha-ching. After the funeral, he disappeared again. But not completely. Because now, he had hope. Hope for money he didn't earn. Hope for a payout he didn't deserve. And behind the scenes, he started spending. A lot. Debt piled up. Rent, vacations, expenses he couldn't afford, all based on one assumption. That $500,000 was coming. That this was his moment, his reward, his entitlement. A month later, the letter arrived, addressed to my mom, from the insurance company. And the moment I opened it, I knew. We regret to inform you. She didn't qualify. Of course she didn't. She never was going to. That's when I realized this wasn't an accident. This was intentional. This was her final move, her final message, her final act of justice. So I picked up the phone and I called him. Hey, I got the letter. He sounded excited, like a kid waiting for a gift. So when do we get the check? I took a breath, and then I said it. She didn't qualify. Silence. Then confusion. Then panic. What do you mean she didn't qualify? And then explosion. What about my kid? We need that money. We have rent, debt. How could she do this to me? And then his wife grabbed the phone, screaming, accusing, threatening lawsuits, calling me a thief, saying I was stealing from their child. And the entire time, I just listened, because for the first time in his life, he was experiencing something new. Consequences. Later, I found out the truth. He had racked up nearly $40,000 in debt, all based on that imaginary payout. And the insurance broker? He knew. He was in on it. He helped my mom set the illusion, not out of cruelty, but because they both knew. This was the only way to teach him, to make him feel it, to make it real. My mom didn't yell, she didn't argue, she didn't fight. She simply let him believe that everything he ever wanted was finally within reach. And then she took it away. Not with words, not with anger, but with reality. And in that moment, he wasn't the golden child anymore. He wasn't special. He wasn't entitled. He was just a man drowning in the consequences of his own greed. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't loud. It's quiet. It's patient. It's letting someone destroy themselves with the very expectations they built. And in the end, my mom didn't just leave behind a lesson, she left behind justice.
If this story hit you as hard as it hit me, drop a like and let me know in the comments, was this justice or was it too far? And if you want more stories like this, where karma doesn't just knock, it kicks the door down, make sure you subscribe. because trust me, this family story, it's not over yet.